Any man that's watching this video right now, this is your confirmation that it is time for you to get onto the true timeline the moment you get your heart broken by a woman.
Feeling like I'm trapped in my damn mind. Tell the feeling like I'm rapping a damn lie. Tell the feeling like my life is a damn game. Nigga really wanna die in the nighttime. Only time I feel pain when I'm feeling love. That's why
YouTube, what it do? It's your guy B. I'm back at it again with a good, positive, informative video. I hope you guys are having a good day and an awesome day. So, gentlemen, this video is gonna be for you all. I know what it's like getting your heart broken. So, if you stick to watching this video through the end, you're definitely gonna learn something. Like I said before in the beginning, there are so many men out there that get their hearts broken by a woman and they end up in the wrong timelines where they become somebody that they should not become. And let's get it. I understand what it's like getting your heart broken by a woman. We all go through this. I go through this too. I remember way back years ago, there was a woman that I was interested in and it broke my heart and everything. And one of the things that I don't see a lot of people talk about in the YouTube community or in social media is they don't talk about the timeline that every man must go to. I've seen so many men that end up becoming villains. I've seen so many men that end up taking their lives away because they couldn't withstand the hurt that they received by a woman that rejected them or just broke their heart in general. So here it is. I want to explain to you the three timelines that every man should be aware. And before I explain the original timeline, I will talk about the two false timelines that every man should avoid, and this is the reason why. So the first one I like to explain is the simp timeline. Now, the simp timeline is where guys like to put women on a pedestal, and the thing with that is, people don't talk about the root of that. People say, well, you know, back in the day where women were the prize and men had to show off, or had to prove themselves they can be with this woman or get with this woman. But that's a whole different timeline. But in this original timeline, I blame the music, especially the R&B songs. And don't get me wrong though, there are some songs back in the 1990s that were very popular back in the day, and they're good to this day. But when we're growing up, if you like a 1980s or a 1990s baby like myself, we already know what I'm talking about. The music like Usher Raymond, Darnell Jones, Ray J, Joe. Like a good example of Joe, he made a song talking about, I can do the thing that your man won't do. And don't get me wrong though, the songs are good, but when we listen to songs where a man's catering to a woman, it feeds our subconscious mind to the point where we got no choice but to cater a woman. This is why we gotta open the door for a woman. This is why we gotta provide for every woman's needs, because of the program that we received as a child. Now you got social media. Now you got a lot of these old dating gurus like Steve Harvey, Yada the Awakening, Chris Perry, and Derek Jacks. And while these people are doing their own thing, they're not doing they're doing a piss ass job when it comes to women. Yeah, they telling them what they want to hear, but the thing with that is though, by them telling them what they want to hear, you're gonna put these women in the same position, and they can continue asking the same question: where are the real men at? Where are the good men at? Because right now, it's not looking good for these modern women. What I mean by modern women, I talk about modern women and how they operate in today's society. And it's unfortunate because, again, just like how a man falls in the false timeline, a woman falls in the false timeline. But I'll discuss that later on. So you don't want to be simping like crazy, and you want to make sure that, gentlemen, you want to avoid these type of men. Because what you don't realize is that even though a lot of women are supporting these type of men, that don't mean the fact that you got to support them. The only thing they're doing is telling these women what they want to hear versus what they need to hear. And we see what happened when you got men like Kevin Samuels, Tommy Sotomayor, and other these men who were part of the Red Pill start speaking quote unquote certain facts and everything like that though. But let's move on to the next timeline. So this timeline is something that every man needs to avoid. I call this the quote unquote alpha timeline. So you got the men like, what's his name, Andrew Tate, saying the fact that a woman likes a man with a lot of money, and that's not really true at all. Because the thing with that is, attraction, physical attraction is always going to outweigh how much money you have. And this is another thing though too. A lot of these men who don't have the guidance, they look up to the alpha man and say the fact that you got money, man, every woman gonna like you. But what they don't tell you is that you will get the woman, but you're not get the right woman that's best for you. Most of the time, is men who move with their money are insecure men. They think the fact that, oh, because I got money, I can get any woman I want to. Men that lead with their money are the most insecure men on the planet. And I see that so many times. There's a guy that said, hey, if you ain't got no money, you don't deserve a woman. But I'm like, bruh, back in the day, people knew how to barter. People knew how to live without money by learning how to trade things and everything. So far, the money's about to disappear very, very soon. The business is about to shut down very soon. Yet these quote unquote alpha men who got money, they ain't teaching you how to, become self-sufficient. And don't get me wrong though, I'm not knocking down money. What I'm saying is for you gentlemen, is don't allow money to rule over you. The moment you receive your money, you rule over it. You make the decision how you use it, And a lot of the time is, these quote unquote alpha men think that because the more women they be with, the more women they sleep with, that's quote unquote alpha. Let me tell you this right here. They can pull all the girls they really want though, but they don't know how to work on themselves to find the right one. Most of the time, man, these alpha men gotta pull out a stunt just to show off what it's like to have a quote unquote woman. And let's be real here. Most of the women that these alpha men get, they're not even high quality. They just walk around here with this superficial mindset, thinking the fact that, ooh, I want to be this, bad, that, claiming they 10, but don't even know what the hell they're talking about. All right. So just know that you don't have to call yourself alpha. You don't gotta allow money to basically move you and everything. Just focus on being yourself, and that's all you gotta do. But I also want to realize this though too as well, is that most of the time is that these alpha males are not really best interested in the men. The same way how you got the dating gurus that want to tell a woman what she wants to hear, it's the same vice versa with the men who basically manipulate men's feelings when they get hurt from a woman. And they just basically think the fact that, okay, this man, like, he's alpha, he got his shit together, we're gonna stick with him. So this is more like the villain arc. And just like I mentioned before, I don't know, but Obito, he was basically a ninja from the Hill Leaf Village. He had goals, he had ambitions. One of his goals was to become the Hokage, but when he saw the loss of his love, the love of his life died, he completely forgot about dreams and went to a new plan to where he wanted to trap every shinobi in this genjutsu to where they can live in fantasy without no bloodshed. And yeah, that's not the right way to go. So now that I explained the two timelines, I think this is the most true timeline that maybe men must follow. And I call this the hero timeline. Now, people may be thinking about, what about the villain arc, man? We gotta become the new villains. No, because like I said before though, you don't wanna be like Obito. Just because a woman broke your heart doesn't mean that you gotta be bitter. Doesn't mean you gotta walk around hating women. No, what you wanna do is that you want to save yourself from this heartbreak, so that way it don't mold you. So this true timeline is more so of a Solo level like Jinru. For those of you who watch Solo Leveling, understand the season 1, where he used the system to become the better version of himself. And if you really pay attention to it, you see the gems in that show. It's all about him becoming stronger, making sure that he's better than who he was yesterday. So for all you men who watching this video, you can be like Jinru, but we're speaking from a way of heartbroken. So one of the things that you want to do is, okay, accept the fact that you got your heart broken. Okay? Realize the fact that, hey, you have the right to express yourself. You have the right to feel. And this is another thing that a lot of men are afraid to do, is become vulnerable. We were told that as men that showing vulnerability is a sign of weakness and it makes us feel less of a man. And that's not true. Vulnerability helps you out get to know how you are inwardly. The problem with that is, most of the time is men are always playing offense all the time. They don't want to play defense to where they don't want to look within themselves and fix themselves. I was like, okay, this is what I gotta do. Sometimes you got men out there say that, no, we don't need no therapy, go to the gym, hit them weights, do boxing, and you be fine. Cool. Exercising release a lot of dopamine levels throughout the whole entire body, but it's only temporarily because you're not attacking the root cause, the root issue within yourself. And this is why a lot of men end up suffering, because they were told by society that, hey, we can't be vulnerable, we can't be weak, we gotta be strong and show society that we are man, you know what I mean? But nah, man, you want to show vulnerability to make sure the fact that you can learn how to not allow negative emotions to get the best out of you. Another thing with that is, though, too, when it comes to high value, is the hero arc is learning how your goals, purpose. Like I said in the beginning, there are times where so many men will put women on a pedestal when it comes to like to OnlyFans, when it comes to R&B music, and these are all just distractions. And I'm not saying the fact that, oh, you don't need no girls and everything, but what I'm saying is, if you're the type of guy that still believe in relationships, still want to get married in the dating times, then continue to work on yourself. And as you begin to work on yourself, you're going to end up attracting the right woman for you. And trust me, I'm living that experience right now. When you begin to work on yourself, you're going to end up attracting high quality women that will go with you or line up with you with your purpose and your goals and ambitions. And that's what you have to do. One of the things that a lot of men need to realize, though, too, is that even though you are working on yourself, people tend to neglect the subconscious mind. And what people don't realize, that the subconscious mind is the mind that basically feel all the things you've been programmed throughout everyday society. And we wonder why we move the way we move, because we tend to lose focus on here. And I get it, though. We live in times where we're constantly on the go. But you as a man, you got to realize that sometimes you got to sit down and do some nature reflecting. And I know it's a very hard thing to do, because it's hard to sit down, and we're living in times where we're constantly gotta go, rush. But if you take the time to sit down and redo some nature reflecting, you'll be able to reprogram your mind. Now, one of the things with that is, though, that I see a lot of men do, especially in my old YouTube videos, there are some men that make comments talking about, look, I'm just going to focus on me. I'm not worrying about no girls. Girls are just distraction. Girls are just this, that, and third. And like I said, you have a right to express yourself, but you got to be mindful of what you say to yourself and what you put in your mind. Because sometimes we don't catch ourselves when we're in the heat of the moment of saying negativity. So I say, for example, girls are like, man, girls ain't shit. Man, girls ain't this, girls ain't that. When you're saying that, you're telling your mind and reprogram it to where that, guess what? You won't come across women who are shitty. And don't get me wrong, there are some shitty ass women out there, but you got to be mindful that you have to make sure that you be mindful of what you're saying. Because if you ain't mindful of what you're saying, trust me and believe me, you're going to get fucked up mentally. And I'll say another way of this timeline is it's your mindset. You know, you are working on yourself, becoming the best version of yourself, but you are being mindful of what you all saying, though. Because I've seen so many men who work on themselves, and apparently and unfortunately, it just to the point where they think that, oh, well, women are this, that, and the third. You don't need to focus on that, though. You don't. Because while you working on yourself, there are modern women of today that are suffering. And unfortunately, it's kind of hard. Because like what J. Cole said, don't save them. They do not want to be saved. when you in a predicament to where you are very emotional, and yet you listen to women who take on feminist ideologies and listen to men that tell you what you want to hear but prevent you from growing, that will prevent a woman from moving up. And we see it so many times to where when you start to evolve, when you stick to this timeline where you're focusing on yourself and you don't have no hatred towards women, you know there are some women that are bad, but you in your mindset know that there are some amazing women out there. You're going to come across some women out there that may compete with you. They may see you as like a competition. They're thinking like, oh, okay, this man think he doing good. I gotta outdo him and everything. And sometimes, you know, a lot of women believe that having a job, having a career, having a job, you know, and having money in their own place, they think they're better than the man. But having these materials, you just build your own security. But most of the time, a man would know for the fact that having these things does not define them. Most men will end up dating women based off of their character and personality. And for love, which is another thing when it comes to being on the true timeline, you're going to start finding women or start getting women out of love or for a long-term relationship. When you get your stuff together, like your finances, your job and career, you're gonna realize these things don't really mean nothing. They just add to your security. But you're gonna realize the fact that even when you have this stuff, you still want to judge a woman and make sure that she's aligned with your purpose, which is another thing. There's a story that I read on social media of a football player that ended up, he had all the money that protected, provide, and he still get cheated on. And that's another thing right there I also want to tell you, gentlemen, is that you don't got to live this robotic mindset. Because when you live in this robotic mindset, that means the fact that you're moving on autopilot without even questioning certain things. And a lot of times, modern women don't like a man who think for himself or question himself because they want everything to fall in line. Because when they see a man that's questioning things, that means the fact that, okay, this man about to start making decisions that are going to make that woman feel uncomfortable. So the point I'm saying to you, gentlemen, is that the true timeline, to summarize it up, the true timeline allows you to work on your purpose. The true timeline also allows you to have this perspective that not all women are bad. You have this common sense. This true timeline also prepares you to find the right woman for you, or the right women, however you all want, to make sure that you can all have a long-term relationship. Because let's be honest here, we all want to better ourselves just to make sure that we can prepare ourselves for our partners. And I do believe that it is easier for a man to elevate his life versus a woman, because a lot of the time is, again, a lot of women were told they have options. All right, apparently the video keep on pausing and everything, but just to make a summary is, gentlemen, avoid the timeline, which is the simp timeline, and the alpha timeline, which is a villain timeline, and stick to doing the hero timeline, because there's so much negative energy out there. And again, just because you got your heart broken by a woman doesn't mean that you got to walk around with that bitter energy. So remember, you are the hero of your own journey. Save yourself from negative emotions and just don't allow the negative energy to consume you. So again, it's been a minute. Hope you guys having a good day, and take heed to ourselves, okay? Peace.